watching NotesIn9.
Hello, and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm David Leedy. Episode 94, Installing a Domino Server for Development. You're never too old to play in a sandbox. Okay, just a slide I've been thrown up there showing some additional NotesIn9 resources. There's lots of great XPages resources these days with xpages.info and openntf.org and Stack Overflow and the XPages forum and everything. So this is what I'm bringing to the table. So I've got Notes9, I've got index.notes9.com, which will just it's just like an XPages site trying to index the shows by contributor, by episode number, to make them easier to find rather than scrolling back through a blog. And then there's a cheatsheet.notes9.com, which has some downloadable and printable cheat sheets, an online URL cheat sheet, and a demo app that you can kind of play with the fake names and stuff like that. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. We've got a great new contributor today that I'm pretty excited to have on, and his name is Sean Cull, and he's an IBM champion from Focal, which is a business partner specializing in Domino and X Pages and all that good stuff, I imagine. And his Twitter is here, and he is an X Pages expert, and he's got a great blog which is listed here. And kind of when he speaks, a lot of people listen. You know, I believe he was involved in had some great ideas on what really became the XWorks server licensing. He has done some great blog posts on some different technical issues that have been well received by IBM, at least from what I can see. So he's a very sharp guy, and I'm excited to have him on the show. And today, what he's going to do is he's going to talk about creating a sandbox server. This is a development server. It's not designed to be something that you can just put on the internet and like let people kind of try to hack into it. It's just designed to give you a place to, work on an app and take advantage of the server security and things like that for testing that you can't really do on just like the local web preview. So he's going to show a demo of installing 8.5.3 Update Pack 1, installing that to Linux, to CentOS Linux, which is basically an offshoot of Red Hat Linux. Now, Red Hat and CentOS are pretty much the same thing, except my understanding is they removed all the names Red Hat from everywhere and replaced with CentOS. And now you have CentOS. You don't have to pay $350 a year to be able to use it. So it's pretty good. It's not technically supported, but it's pretty much a clone of Red Hat. Now he's going to install 8.5.3. But I suspect, I have no advanced or inside knowledge of this, I suspect a Domino 9 install would be almost identical. And probably the only difference is when Domino 9 comes out on December 14th for this early beta release candidate version or so that's open to the public so you can download and play with it. When that comes out, there won't be an update pack as best as I know. I could be wrong to that. So that's the only piece that you probably wouldn't have to install. But everything else, I would imagine, is going to be almost exactly the same. But I don't know, so I don't want IBM to shoot me. So you want to have a test server for development as much as possible. You never want to code on production. Not to say that I've never coded on production, but I haven't done it for a long time. So it's kind of like a 12-step program to not code on production in the Domino world, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Knock on wood. So anyway, with all that stuff being said, let's go to the demo, and he's going to show us how to install the server and get Domino up and running, and then test it, make sure the web browser and everything works. So with that being said, let's go to the demo.
Hello, my name's Sean Cull. I'm an IBM champion and I work for Focal Limited. This screencast is about installing a Domino sandbox on Linux in about 60 minutes. It's important to note it's a sandbox installed for developers, so it's for developers to try out new features and to test things. It's not a hardened server. If you need a production server, you need to get advice. I'm going to be using CentOS. It's not supported by IBM. So if you have any issues with this install, then you can't go back to IBM with them. I would recommend you use Red Hat, which is a supported platform and which is very similar. And this screencast comes with no warranty. So why have I used CentOS? It's less hassle to get an install. I wanted to do a presentation that anybody pretty much could take and get a Domino server up and running with. It is very similar to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And if you have got the budget, there's about $350 a year to get a supported license for Red Hat, then I would recommend that you do that because you can then raise issues with IBM. So the basic setup is I'm going to do this on my laptop with a VMware desktop installed. It works equally well with Fusion on the Mac and other virtualization technologies, and it works equally well with a physical server. I'm going to do this on 64-bit, but it's exactly the same steps for 32-bit. It's actually the same installer as well. And I'm going to give it 2 gigs of memory and 60 gigabytes of thin provisioned hard drive. As I said earlier, same install for 32 and 64-bit. There's 3 bits of software that will make your life a lot easier. The first is the PuTTY SSH client. The second is WinSCP, which is a client that allow you to sort of like a file explorer type application for use with Linux. And the last one is some startup scripts from Daniel Nashid, which will be really useful in terms of starting and stopping Domino. There's also going to be a cheat sheet at this URL with all of the code that you're going to need today, which you can just cut and paste in to the system. In terms of other downloads, well, the first thing you're going to need is CentOS, and you're also going to need the install files for Domino. So if we just go now and try and get those. So if we go to centos.org and you go to downloads and mirrors, and you go to the public mirror list, and in my case I'm going to go to European N to Z, and then I'm going to go to United Kingdom, Melbourne, who are a good crowd, and click on HTTP, and I'm looking for 6.3 and ISOs. And in my case, the 64-bit, but you could use the 32-bit. And then there's one here called 64-bin DVD ISO. So we just right-click that and save link as, and choose where you're going to put that. And that's that download. And then the next download that you're going to need will be the IBM Developer Works. So this is the page where you can get an evaluation copy of Domino. It's also worth noting that the Express license, which I think is about $150 per person, entitles you to have servers as well. And if you're a business partner, then many of those business partners are also entitled to numbers of servers for development as well. There's also a public beta coming out in the next couple of weeks for NotesIn9. Which would be an excellent one to download as well. So now we have our downloads. The next thing we're going to do is to configure the VM and install CentOS. So 60 gig hard drive and 2 gigs of memory. So I have a slightly older version of VMware Workstation, so I need to create some of the settings manually because it doesn't know about Release 6 of Red Hat or CentOS. So I go File, New Virtual Machine, and we're going to go for Custom. Those are all fine. You can see here that we're using the installer disk image that we downloaded from CentOS earlier. We go next. We're going to tell it's Linux and it's Red Hat. I'm going to call this a demo. I'm going to click on next. Fine with one processor. Just watch if you're using Red Hat because there are license restrictions when you get above 2 processors. We're going to go for 2 gig of memory. We're going to use bridge network. So this means that the VMware is going to pick up its own IP address independently of my machine, which is what I prefer to do. If you're using this for on-site demos and stuff, you would probably want to use this NAT option, but you can change that on a case-by-case basis when you run the VM. So this is important. So I need to go for LSI logic here. We're going to create a new virtual disk. We're going to go for IDE. We're going to give it 60 gigabytes even. Now, if we allocate the space now, it will literally take 60 gigabytes on the hard drive, which is called thick provisioning, or we can let it just increase the size of the drive as we need to, which is my preference. That's called thin provisioning. And that's us. Apart from, I just need to change the resolution on the monitor. Otherwise, it doesn't record properly. So 800 by 600 will do for me. And that's it. So now the VM will boot up. We can choose the top option there. All right, and now we can install CentOS. As I say, my preference would actually be Red Hat, but CentOS is a little bit easier and is free, but obviously is not supported by IBM. So we're going to say yes, discard any data on the hard drive. It's given it this host name, which is fine for a Sandbox server. Now, this is really important. You need at this point to configure the network, otherwise it becomes very difficult later on. So configure network, we go to wired and in here and go to edit, and it's this box here is really, really important. So we need to connect automatically. Now at this point, if you needed to change whether it was DHCP or fixed IP address or whatever, you would do that here. I'm just going to apply that. The rest of this is fine. So I close that and I go to next. I actually found this the hardest bit in the whole process, and that's trying to get the right time zone. So I've managed to do it there. So that's London. I'm going to use UTC. We're going to go next, then we're going to give it a password. So do that. And we go next. It thinks it's a bit weak. I'm going to use it anyway because I'm going to throw this away afterwards. I'm going to use all of the space on the drive. I'm going to write the changes to the drive. Okay, we're going to go for a minimal install. So not basic server, minimal. And we're going to go next. Right, so now we can reboot. So it's now booted up, so we have our installation. So I'm going to log in, so it's root, and then whatever password you give it earlier on. And what I want to do at this point is get the IP address. So I can see here it's 10.14.7.144. And what I want to do now is come out of that and actually fire up a program called PuTTY, which is pretty good. So 10.14.7.144. And this gives me a better console to use it. So root and password. Okay, and this is what I'm going to use to work with the new server. So the first thing that I want to do is to update the operating system. If you're using Red Hat, at this point you would have had to subscribe to the Red Hat network. If you look at the cheat sheet, there's some commands for doing that. So I just accept the defaults here, and you can see that it's now updating the OS. And I want to connect with another piece of useful software, which is called WinSCP. And WinSCP allows us to drop files onto this server. So if we log in again using our weak password. Okay, and let me just drop this down to a sensible size for recording. So there we go. Right, so we can see that on this side we have the server, and on the other side we have my PC basically. Okay, and what I need to do is to edit one of the files. So I need to edit the yum file. So that's going to be in etc. And the file master is yum.conf. And we need to do this because, again, this has gone full screen on me, just bear with me. We need to do this because the Domino install needs some 32-bit code, which isn't there by default. And what we need to do is to include the following line. Just let me get in the clipboard in this file. So here. So this multi-lib policy all. So if I save this, it's going to challenge me for the password in a little second. So I'll just do that again. And that change has now been made. You get all of this on the cheat sheet. So if we now go back to the PuTTY window again, so we're here, and we've done the yum update. We've modified the yum.conf, and now I just want to put some useful utilities on. So the first one is something called wget, which allows us to pull down files from the internet. So typically our installed files, we would pull them down from Amazon S3 or something like that. Want to put on some code that allows us to do automatic time updates. And I want to add some code that allows us to manipulate the network settings on the server. Again, all of these are in the cheat sheet. And finally, I want to put on some software to manipulate the firewall. So the next thing I want to do is turn the firewall off. So system config firewall brings up this basic but quite useful interface. It's much easier than doing it with a command line stuff. So I'm going to say that it's not enabled and go OK. And we want to save that. OK. And if you did want to change your network settings at any time, there's a similar command for modifying the network. So you can see here we can go for device configuration and choose whether it's DHCP or not. So I'm just going to come out. I'm going to cancel that because we're happy with the settings that we already have. So having done that, what we want to do now is we want to see if anything is listening on port 25, because often when you do a Linux install, there's sendmail or something similar running. So we use this netstat command here, and we can see that there's nothing in this case, which surprises me slightly. So now I'm just going to use something else called checkconfig, which looks at the services that are initiated at boot up. So let me scan down through. So I'm looking for a send mail or something similar. And there isn't actually anything there. So sometimes there is. And if there is, then what you need to do is use a command like this to disable it. So checkconfig delete send mail. And it says in this case there's no such file or directory, which is fine. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is drop the Domino install files onto the system. So to do that, I want a temporary directory. So I'm going to go make dir, and we use temp, and we're going to use dom installs as our temporary directory. And to move to that directory, we can use cd, and we can go temp dom installs. Just watch out, Linux is case sensitive, so we have to be careful about that. And then there's a command called ls, which lists what's in the directory, and you can see that the directory is empty. So I'm going to go back to WinSCP, and I'm going to go to my D drive and the demo folder. And we can see here that I've got the IBM files. Now, the first thing that I would do is to actually rename these to make it easier to type them in later on. So we're going to call this one Upgrade Pack 1. We're going to call this one Fix Pack 3. And we're going to call this one here Domino. Okay. And then if we go over onto the Linux side and we go to temp, we will see DOM installs, and what we can do is we can take those and we can drag and drop them in there using WinSCP. The other way to do this, if you have them in Amazon S3 or something, is to use the wget command to pull them down. Okay, and if we now look in the directory again, you'll see that we have a new directory called Linux. So just to show you that. So we go into that directory and look in there, and we've got a directory called Domino. So we go Domino, and you can see that we've got the install script here. So we can actually run it from here. So I just go /install. And now this is going to fail because of some dependencies, but the easiest way is to do this and then see what those dependencies are. So it says that we need Perl, so we need to do that. So we're going to yum install Perl. And then it's going to fail again on some other dependencies in another second. Okay, we're going to try and do the install again. Just a quick hint there, if you use up arrow, then you can cycle through the previous commands that you've done. So again, we're expecting this to fail. And you can see that that it has there. So I'm just going to type in n, let's put the focus back on, n, and it's kicked me out. So we want to install the dependencies there. So I'm just pulling this from the cheat sheet. So if I go yum install, I'm looking for, we've already got Perl, so it won't do anything there, but these other dependencies, and I just hit enter. And we say, yes, we like all of these. And now we can try the install again. And this time it should work fine. Okay, would we like to go ahead in console mode? Yes, because we haven't installed any GUI. So we want to type in yes, it's very particular. Okay. Do we accept the license? Yes, we do. You should have a license. So, and from this point on, we will accept most of the defaults, but not quite all of them. So just be careful here. So a partition directory, no. Program files opt IBM Lotus is fine. Partition server is no. Local notes data is fine. Oh, right. Now at this point, it's asking me to say who the notes user is going to be. Now we haven't actually created the notes user at this point. So I can right click on here and go for a duplicate session. Log in again using my weak password. Okay. What I want to do at this point is add a user in a group called notes. So we do that, and then we have to create a password for this person as well. So I'm going to give it an well, no, it's got a bit fussy here. It doesn't like my weak password, so we're going to have to go for something more substantial. There we go. So we now have a user called Notes and a group called Notes. So we can close that window again. And now we can accept the default of Notes, a group name of Notes. And now be careful because we want to change this. So we're going to go for a remote setup because that allows us to get the ID files easier. So we choose 2 in here. In this case, I'm going to go for utility server because it's mostly XPages stuff I want to look at, although to be honest, it doesn't make a huge difference. Okay. And now it's going to start installing Domino. Okay, so that has installed, so we can accept that. There was an error message there about ulimits, which I'll show you how to get rid of in a little while. So that's now running, and what we need to do is to start up the remote server install that comes with the Lotus admin installation. So if you look in the folder on your Windows machine, you'll find this. So if we now type in 10.14.7.144 and go OK, you can see on the console something's happened, so we know we've got a connection. And now we can go and we can set up Domino. So we're just going to accept a lot of this. So in this case, I'm going to do a first server, standalone server. Just going to let it be called localhost, doesn't really matter. I'm going to call it demo down here. Organization name, I'm just going to call it demo. I'm going to put in a password. And that's fine for now. So for the person, I'm just going to call them administrator. And again, an equally weak password. Please put in a decent password when you're doing this for real. I want to keep a copy of the ID file. So it's going to actually put that's on the Linux server, which is fine. We can get to that using WinSCP. I want to be able to use HTTP. I'm not worried about IMAP, and I'm not worried about LDAP in this case. Just go in here and customize and just see what else we've got. So I'm not interested in the calendar connector or the schedule manager or dolls, but I do want the HTTP server. And do I want SMTP? No, we'll not take that in this case. And I don't really want the rooms and resources manager. So, okay. And we go next. That all looks fine. Next again, I don't want prohibit anonymous because I do want to do some design that includes anonymous access. That's fine. Now it's going to set up these ID files for me. This is really important because you need these ID files, particularly the admin one, to get back in again. So the nice thing about using the remote server setup tool is that you can actually say that you want to have these on your Windows machine. So we're going to put them in there. Click on next and set up. And now you can see the Domino server is being set up. Okay, click on finish. We're going to stop the listener task. We always get this message, I don't know why, just ignore that. Okay, so first things first, if we go and look in demo, in our demo folder, in notes IDs, we'll see the IDs that we need here. I'm just going to start the server manually this time round. So to do that, we have to change to be the notes user. So SU means to change. You can see how the hash has changed to $1. Then we need to go to local notes data. And then we have to type in opt IBM Lotus bin server. Okay, and we can see our note server starting there. Now I'll show you a much better way to start and stop it in a little while. So we can see reference over to the HTTP server. So just while that's starting up, I'm going to start up my browser. So if I go to 10.14.7.144, we can see we have a Domino server. I always get a tingly feeling when I see this. So I can click into Notes Help, and this is absolutely the server that you've just installed is where this information is coming from. And you can see it's actually quite fast as well. Sorry, just going to start another session here. So we go duplicate session. And just log in there. Okay, and there's a useful command called top, which allows us to see how much CPU and memory and stuff has been used. And you can see there that server, which is the Lotus Notes server, is using very little, and that HTTP is using so little. There it is. There is using very little as well. So it's Linux pretty efficient. Okay, so we're now going to stop the server, and we're going to install Upgrade Pack 1 and Fix Pack 2. Sorry, Fix Pack 3. So I'm going to go back to being root again. So that was a SU, and you can see how it changes to a hash when I'm in root. And I'm going to go to back to the Domino installs, and I want to get rid of the Linux folder that was created earlier on. So it's rm -rf, which means you can delete a folder even though it's got stuff in it. Linux, and if we look there, we can see that that's gone. I'm also going to take the Domino one out as well while I'm at it. So rm Domino. Okay, so that's gone too. So I'm going to do Upgrade Pack 1. So it's tar minus xvf up1. So that has uninstalled as well. Now we need to be a little bit careful here because there's some extra steps that are needed for Upgrade Pack 1. And what we have to do is change the ownership of the files. Just let me check where the files are kept. So they're actually all in this folder, and that's fine. So we need to do this chmod -or +x, and the dot is important. Okay, so we do that, and now what we can do is install. And it's given us some other error messages here, which is fine. So to get around those, what we need to do is set some variables. So we add that, and then we export it. Now all this is in a wiki, one of the IBM wikis. So I've done that. If we now go back and try and install, we'll see that everything works fine. So we're just going to accept all the defaults. So that's Upgrade Pack 1 installed. So let's just have a look at what it looks like now in the directory. So that's fine. So now we want to do Fix Pack 3. So it's tar fp3, sorry, minus xvf fixpack3.tar. Let's see where it's put that. So in this case now we've got a Linux folder, so I want to go into that. Have a look what's in there. So we've got a Domino folder, and I think we'll have an install file in there, which we do. So it's /install, and a very similar process again. What's different about this one is you have to press tab to continue, just to catch you out. We go all the way down to the end of the license agreement this time. Press tab. Do we agree with the statement? Yes, we have to type in the word yes. Actually, we have to press tab here. This always catches me out. So we press tab. Tab again. Okay, so that all appears to install. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to being notes again. and we're going to go to the right directory, and we're going to start out. So it was opt IBM Lotus bin server, and we should see the Domino server start up now. That looks pretty good so far. So just while that's happening, I'm going to go back and tidy up the folder. So open my duplicate session again, log in. I'm going to go to temp, have a look there, and I'm going to remove dom install. So it's rm -rf dom installs. Have a look there again, and you can see that that's all being done. Now there's another folder in there which is a temporary one, so we'll remove that. And that will do. So close that session. Let's go back and see how our Domino server is going there. It's good. HTTP started, so I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to shut the server down and install a startup and shutdown script that makes life a bit easier. So queue the server. Okay, so the next bit is there's a chap called Daniel Nashid does an excellent startup and shutdown script. So if you go and you look on his site, he's given some information about it here. If you click on here and request a script, you get it pretty much straight away. And this is an absolutely excellent way of starting and stopping your server. So the README is very good. So if you would follow that through, but I'll just do it very quickly here. So I have the scripts over here, and I need to go to opt IBM Lotus and drop in the RC Domino script in here. And I need to go to etc. init D and drop that one in there. Now, because I've used all the standard settings, I don't need to use the configuration file at all. So I've done that. And then Daniel gives 4 lines of code that you need to run at this point. So if I come back to PuTTY, so you can see here, I changed directory and changed the ownership of RC Domino. Then I changed the directory. All right, well that's failed. That's failed because I'm still logged in as Notes. So I need to go back to root. Okay, and then if I put those 4 lines in, you can see that they work fine. So change to opt IBM Lotus and change the ownership of Domino script, then to etc. init D and change the ownership of RC Domino. And then what I need to do is to add those to the startup routine. So I use the check config to do that. And then I can see whether that's taken or not. By using the check config command, and you can see here RC Domino is on in states 3, 4, and 5. So now when we start and stop the Linux server, Notes will start and stop as well. So we're now going to use the startup script to actually start the Domino server. So it's etc. init D RC Domino, and we go start and we go live. And what this will do will actually bring up a console, which is pretty cool. So we can see here, this is the console, and you notice we didn't even have to change to any particular folders, and we're still logged in as root, and you can see Domino starting up there. Okay, we've got one last change to make. There's something called the U limit that causes error warnings in Domino, so we need to change that. So I'm just going to close Domino down here. And the file that I'm looking for is under etc. security. Limits.com. So I need to go in here and I need to add 2 lines to this. So we need to say that the limits for the notes user, I'll pop them in here, are set to these numbers. So we do that, we save it, come out. I'm going to close that down. I don't need that anymore. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to reboot the server, and let's see that it comes up with Domino and everything else running. So if I go reboot, okay, that's closed the terminal session. But if I go back to VMware, we'll see that rebooting now. I can log in here. And if I go to the browser, there we go. So, and we can go to Lotus Notes and get access that way. So File, Security, Switch ID. Use the ID that we saved earlier on, so admin ID. And you can see here that we have access. So this is the log from our new server. So just to show you how easy it is to deploy an expert application, we can open the server in Domino. We need to go to the address book and change some of the security settings. So if I come down to all server documents, localhost demo, go into security here, and then we need to give administrator demo access to run some code. Next page, otherwise it'll fall over. So we do that. Then if we need to restart this server, and to be honest, the easiest way I find to do that is just to use the console. So we log in as root. So it's the etc. init rc domino restart. I got something wrong there. Etc. init. Okay, so you can see how that's gracefully restarting notes for me. So if we go to OpenNTF, I'm just going to pick a project that I know of, which is one of mine. So we take this, we download it, we launch it. Okay, and we go File, Application, New Copy. I'm going to put this onto our server. I'm going to give it a simpler name so I can do the URL easily. Just going to call it demo. Okay, and now I need to go into administration to sign it, or you could use the designer client if you wanted to. I can right click, and down here towards the bottom of the screen it says sign active user's ID. because I'm logged in as the administrator. So it's doing that. So if we now go and open the database, go to one of the survey templates, need to change the URL here. So if we get to the NSF, so it's going to be http 10.14.7.144/demo blah 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 blah. Similar thing here. All right. Okay, so we preview the survey. You can see we have a next page survey that can be filled in. So I hope this screencast has been of use to you. If you have any questions, the best thing to do would be to post them in the comments with the accompanying blog post. The link's on the screen now. And thank you very much to David Leedy of NotesIn9 for the opportunity to share this with you all. Thanks now. Bye.
And that's the demo. I thank Sean for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions for him, probably the best thing to do is to leave a comment at his blog post where he kind of went over this type of install. If you have any questions for me, here's my contact information, and I thank you for your time.